Hello, it's John Heaton. Today I thought I would try and select my favourite Abba songs. I haven't done an Abba video for a while, and no particular reason. There's no anniversary that I'm aware of, or no particularly important anniversary coming up or anything. Just to celebrate the fact that I love this group, and we're still waiting for the new songs, by the way, Bjorn and Benny. Been waiting for about 2 years now. Given up waiting, to be perfectly honest with you. If they come, they come, and if they don't, we'll just enjoy the original stuff we had. So on the original 8 albums, they're excluding compilations and live albums, there's about 80 songs, and then there's various B-sides and singles, standalone singles, and so I think the tally of original Abba songs is 97. And then if you add all the, because they did different foreign language versions of songs in Swedish, German, and particular Spanish, also Italian, I think. Any other languages that I can think of? Those are the main ones that come to mind. Spanish is the one that they did a whole album actually of songs in that language. I think that the total, if you include all those, comes to about 120, over 120. So I'm familiar with all of them, although some of them more familiar than others. I've got all the deluxe CDs with the exception of Ring Ring, the first album, but I was listening to some of the extras on Spotify and was delighted to find I think it's a Swedish version of Another Town, Another Train, or maybe a German version, which I'd never heard before, which was great. So I was going to do my top 20, quickly found that impossible, so it became 25, then it became 30, and then I decided I would do my top 40 because there were so many songs, it was really hard to leave stuff out. So in reverse order, coming in at number 40, we've got the last track on side 1 from 1979's Voulez-Vous, The King Has Lost His Crown, with superb vocals from Frida. It wasn't a single that I'm aware of. I think they did a video version of this on the Japan DVD, I seem to remember, which was pretty good. It's amazing how many songs, not just singles, that the band did video versions for, or TV appearances singing the song. Virtually all of their catalogue is captured on video, which is absolutely great for the fan who likes that kind of thing. At number 39, so that's a really solid album track. Number 39, we've got a track from Ring Ring, I Am Just a Girl. And again, I heard a alternative version of this song with a lead vocal from someone who's outside of the band. I guess they'd recorded it before they formed Abba. And it was the same song, but in maybe in the Swedish language, I'm not sure, apologies. But anyway, I like the English version. Yes, the words are completely soppy and ridiculous, but I think it's a great tune, and I love the fact that the girls are singing along with Bjorn and Benny, all 4 of them, I think, singing on this track, and it's just a melody to die for. Number 38, we've got the final track from this album, Like an Angel Passing Through My Room, and The Visitors' 1981, a very mature album, perhaps their least appreciated amongst the wider audience, but amongst the fan base it's very well regarded, and it's also regarded by the ABBA fan base as probably being their most mature album lyrically. And this song is just gorgeous, with Frida taking the lead vocal. And again, there was another, I think it's on the Visitors Deluxe Spotify, there's a kind of rehearsal of, or sort of what's the word, a kind of piece tracing the development of this song from the basics to how it finished up on the album, and it's very interesting. So great close to their career in terms of albums, although they had a couple of singles after this. Number 37, we've got I Have a Dream from Voulez-Vous, and this is available in foreign language, certainly in Spanish. And it's a good one to play on the piano. It's pretty simple. It's just the chord of B flat and F7 and the odd E flat thrown in there, and you can play a quite nice piano version without being too accomplished on the piano. So that's nice. Great tune, and yeah, I think this is a good ballad, and it was a single. It was a pretty big hit single, number 36. We're turning to the 77 album, which is the first one I was aware of coming out on release. Didn't buy it on release because it was a bit, couldn't quite afford it. I seem to remember buying the single Take a Chance on Me in the shop, W.H. Smith, and passing up on the album because I couldn't quite afford it, but being very excited to see it there. And One Man, One Woman is the track I've chosen from that album, coming in at 36, which is a great, call it a ballad, not particularly slow ballad, but a nice love song, and good video on the video DVD Greatest Hits, which I've shown you on an earlier video. Number 35 from the Abba album, 75. We've got the rocker So Long. They weren't always successful doing rockers. They made a conscious attempt to do a few rockers in their early days, and this was probably the most successful one of those. And then in the latter days they would do Does Your Mother Know, which would be quite successful as well. But I think this is my favourite out of all of them, and it also appeared on Greatest Hits. And I counted up, out of my top 40, there's 10 songs appearing on this Greatest Hits album. This was the album which was first in the family. I can't remember who bought it. It wasn't me, I don't think, but this album was in the family and used to get played to death. And So Long was the closing track on that Greatest Hits album. That was 35. 34, we got The Visitors, the title track from here. And if you played this to someone who doesn't know Abba or doesn't know much about, well, what am I trying to say? It doesn't sound much like an Abba song, which is a good thing. It shows that they were diverse, and you know, some people say Abba were one-dimensional. You can tell their songs a mile off. Well, this one you can't, because it's quite moody and the instrumentation is great, and Bjorn and Benny are singing in the chorus along with the girls, and it's a very atmospheric track and a great lead off to this dark last album of theirs from 1981, number 33. We've got to go to 1980 to Super Trooper, and we've got Happy New Year, first song, side 2, which is always the song one reaches to at New Year, apart from any other time of year. And maybe some people have heard it too much. I actually have heard it an awful lot, and I still don't get tired of it. I think it's timeless song. It's a bit like one of the greatest Christmas songs. You know, it's just great to hear it every New Year, and it's got a good tune and a good video as well. 32, we've got from the same album, Me and I, last track from side 1, and I love the way that Bjorn is singing along with Anna Frida and Agnieszka in the chorus, and great arrangement here. With the horns, or actually synthesizer, but they sound a bit like horns. And 31 is from the same album again, The Piper, which is a song on side 2, which a lot of people may not know because it's a relatively obscure album track, although your ABBA fans will know it. And it's a very appreciated gem of theirs, although not one of their well-known nuggets, but one of their hidden ones, should we say. Number 30, we go back to The Visitors from 1981. We've got a brilliant album track called Slipping Through My Fingers, and they did a version of this, I think it was on the Johnny Carson show or one of those US shows towards the end. They did a version of this and Me and I, actually, I think. Great vocal arrangements. The production on all ABBA songs is just second to none, and Bjorn and Benny's arrangements, and one has to give credit to the backing musicians as well who supported them. It wasn't just the 4 of them. You had some stellar guitarists and bass guitarists and drummers behind them. Most of them Swedish, their original Swedish band. And that was a great song. Number, what are we up to? 29. We've got the first appearance from Arrival, which is, I'm not sure why it's called Arrival, because they had arrived as a star pop group a good 2 years before this album came out with Waterloo in Britain. Maybe it was their arrival internationally, I'm not sure, but either way it's a great album cover, and I love the inner sleeve with them standing by the helicopter there. which curiously is not included in the CD artwork for some odd reason. But that's me. Again, there's a video for this with the girl singing very close to the camera, and that's on the Greatest Hits DVD, and I love it to bits. Could have been a single, this one, but wasn't. 28 is actually a B-side from the Visitors period. I'm not sure if it was I think it might have been the B-side of One of Us, which I notice is not in my top 40. Oh dear. That's a bit of an omission. Anyway, I love this track. Probably their best B-side of their entire career, and probably better than some of the tracks which ended up on the album. I absolutely love it. 27 is from Voulez-Vous, Angel Eyes, which some people say is second-tier ABBA, but I think it's got all the classic ingredients of an ABBA single, and I love it to bits. 26, we've got the standalone single from 1982, The Day Before You Came, with Agneta singing a heartbreaking lyric, with a video of her going on the tube in Stockholm, I think it is, and meeting this guy. And basically the song is about how boring my life was, going to work, working 9 to 5, coming back, getting a Chinese takeaway, reading a book, going to bed, and everything was routine and boring the day before you came. So basically before this person came along and made it all worthwhile. That's the kind of message, and it's a very moving song, and amongst the fan base, very highly regarded. If it wasn't for the Nights 25 from Voulez-Vous, there's a video version of this on the Japan DVD. I guess because that was the latest album which had come out when they went to Japan, which I think was early 1980 from memory. So Voulez-Vous was the sort of current album, so that's why they included quite a few songs from that album on that tour and on that video. And it's a good disco number, but in a good way. They took disco and made it their own. I mean, although less successful, I think, on the title track, Voulez-Vous, on this one it really works. 24, we go to the earlier period with a track from the Waterloo album, Honey Honey. At least I think it's from this album. Yeah, it is. First track, side 2. And this was featured obviously heavily in the Mamma Mia movie, so everyone knows this song. But it's one of their very best. And 23 is another early song from here. Nina, Pretty Ballerina. I'm looking out for a vinyl version of this. Haven't even seen it on new vinyl, let alone original vinyl. So looking out for that. Nina, Pretty Ballerina, also turned up on Greatest Hits, which I knew obviously from way back when. Thoroughly catchy, lovely singing, lovely melody. Yeah, trying to think of another adjective. Superb, how about that? 22, Andante Andante from Super Trooper. A great sort of laid-back number on side 1, Just Before Me and I, and a bit of a recovery after the slightly oppressive On and On and On, which I don't really like, from Super Trooper. So Andante Andante's got a glorious melody, and yeah, I love everything about this song. And number 21 is from that little medley at the end of Abba the album, with Thank You for the Music, I'm a Marionette, and I Wonder. And I Wonder is another song which failed to make the list, and I'm just thinking why. But it just goes to show there's so many good songs that one can't include everything in one. You'll see when I get to the end of this, there's a lot of their big hits which didn't make the top 40. So it's not a criticism of those songs which missed the list, just a reflection of the fact how many good songs they came up with. And Thank You for the Music is number 21 on my list. It's one of their highlights in terms of being uplifting, optimistic, and just an ode to the joys of loving music, which has always been a huge part of my life. So a really affecting lyric for me. Number 20, we go back to the early days with He Is Your Brother from Ring Ring. which was also on the Greatest Hits. In fact, they were a bit naughty calling that album Greatest Hits, because a lot of these songs were not actually hits in the UK when this album came out in '76. So they took a bit of license calling the whole thing Greatest Hits, because they had big singles, but not. This wasn't one of them. But I didn't care. I thought the album was very consistent, but frankly sounded like a Greatest Hits, even if it strictly wasn't. And Here's Your Brother is a glorious early song of theirs. Kisses of Fire is the close-off track from Voulez-Vous. I won't keep up holding up the album covers. I know some of you get annoyed when I do that, so I won't keep on doing that. Kisses of Fire is I'm at the point of no returning. Kisses of Fire, Burning, Burning. I think it's brilliant use of harmony vocals, backing vocals, should I say, from Bjorn towards the end of the song, and a very accomplished lead vocal from Agneta, and a good way to finish the album, a storming way to finish the album, actually. And number 18, we're back to the early days of People Need Love. I think this is probably their first song, and there's a good video of them sitting around the piano from around about 72 doing this, before they'd had any kind of hit in Europe. Maybe this was a hit in Sweden, I'm not sure. But I think it was probably recorded in local language first, I can't remember. But this is really catchy. And even in these early days, this is why Ring Ring is one of my favourites, because even in those early days, Bjorn and Benny's grasp of a good melody is right there. And you can see the gem, you can see the germ of their, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, the seed of their magic already being sown in those early days. And some of the tunes are as good as some of the tunes they came up with later, and so that's why that one's at 18. Number 17, we've got the opening track from Voulez-Vous with the superb strings at the beginnings, like it's the beginning of some concerto, and then it turns into a disco song, and then you think they've gone all the way from classical music to disco, and quite effective, really. And then I think it's Agneta sings the lead on this one, and one of the typical Abba choruses, where she's joined by Frida and they sing very effectively together. Their voices go together so well. I mean, they've done solo stuff, but really their best stuff is when they were singing together. And it's a very effective opener to Voulez-Vous, and actually Voulez-Vous is one of my very, very favourite Abba albums, because there's not one song which lets it down. Most of the other albums have a couple of songs which I'm not too keen on, but Voulez-Vous is pretty much 100% gold for me. Number 16, surprise you that it's so low on my list, but we've got Dancing Queen, the classic from Arrival, and another video for this, several videos they did of this actually. One where they're dressed up in kind of royal costumes for the King of Sweden or something, and another where they're sort of down in the disco dancing along to it, and probably prefer the latter video, which is on the DVD, on the Greatest Hits DVD. And the reason this song isn't higher is just because I've heard it to death, and I wanted, to give some space to some of the lesser known tracks, which I love equally. So just because this song is the most famous Abba song ever doesn't make it necessarily my favourite. As I say, I have heard it an awful lot over the years, and to its credit, when it comes on, I don't reach for the radio to turn it off, or if I'm playing Arrival, I don't skip this song. So it's got longevity in that respect, which is a surefire sign of a good song. Moving into the top 15 now, this is the first single I ever bought from Abba, Take a Chance on Me, when I couldn't quite afford the album. And always remember that intro, if you change your mind, take a chance, take a chance, take a chance. Very unique, the way they've done the vocals on that. And it's quite a simple song with just a couple of chords really in the verse. But really cheeky video. I think Frida's on record saying it's her first favourite video. All of the videos they did are worth checking out. Some of them are straight renditions of the song. Some of them have got a little bit more intricate, whatever the word is, stuff going on apart from them just singing. Then we've got 14, another album track Dum Dum Diddle, which some say might have stupid words. It's about falling in love with a flute player of all things, but you know, Dum Dum Diddle, to play your fiddle. To hear your fiddle. I think it's just really catchy tune, and it's one of those infectious songs on Arrival that I absolutely love. The only song on Arrival I don't particularly love are the penultimate track, Tiger, and the title track. They don't quite do it for me, but other than that, the album is just sheer perfection in my opinion, and Dum Dum Diddle is up there, even though lyrically it might be not the best. 13, we've got standalone single from 1976 or late 75, not sure. Turned up on the 76 Greatest Hits as a late edition, Fernando, and it's pretty high on my list because it's a really simple song, but I've got such memories of it being in the charts. Remember watching it on Top of the Pops, getting to #1, and them sitting around the campfire singing this song, and it's a glorious campfire type song about this mythical character Fernando, and it's interesting how Brotherhood of Man did a song called Angelo and another song called Figaro about these made up characters from Spain or from Mexico, and it's quite amusing that all three of them came out within a year of each other. So a great tune, that one, Fernando. Number 12, reaching the top 10 slowly, Soldiers, which is from their final album, The Visitors, and just goes to show they were capable of a mature lyric, and they were on top of their game melody-wise, and they could still turn out a first-rate song like this. No dip in quality whatsoever. Number 11, we've got Why Did It Have to Be Me from Arrival, where Bjorn's taking the lead vocal, and Agneta and Frida come in for the middle 8 bit. I always wanted a little love affair. Now I can see you're beginning to care. And great sax solo on this, and great chunky guitar. It was a big popular number on the 79 live tour, and also popular down in Australia, I seem to remember. It was featured in the Abba the movie, I seem to remember. So that's a favourite of mine from Arrival. Then we go back to the early days with Another Town, Another Train, with Bjorn singing the lead, and this is one of Bjorn and Benny's finest melodies of their entire career. And as I say, I heard I think it was a German version of this the other day. It might have been a Swedish version, and it was just another great rendition of a great song, although the English one is the one which does it for me, because, I mean, the lyrics are cheesy, but I love them. I won't hear a word against this song. It was also on Greatest Hits, so I remember it from there. We're well into the top 10 now. Number 9, we got Chiquitita from Voulez-Vous, with the amusing video with the snowman, with Frida trying to brush the hair from getting in her eyes, because they've got a fake wind. They've got a fake snowman in the video, and there's some kind of fake wind which is blowing her hair all over the place, and so she's trying to brush it away from getting in her eyes, and she almost can't stop giggling throughout the song. It's quite amusing for no other reason than that, but it's a good amusing video as well, with this fake snowman, and Agneta singing the very affecting lead vocal. Number 8, we go back to Arrival with the opening track, When I Kissed the Teacher. And yet again, there's a superb video for this on the Greatest Hits, with them in the classroom, sitting in the front row with their pencils, taking notes, and then Agneta goes up to the teacher and gets some help on her homework or whatever, and he's busy explaining it to her, and then she just reaches and kisses him on the cheek, and it's just hilarious. One of the best videos, one of the best humorous videos they ever did, and one of my top favourite songs of theirs. A great way to open Arrival, and when push comes to shove, I know I put Voulez-Vous in my top, ranked number 1 in my recent rankings video, but I think Arrival at the end of the day, on most days, is top for me. Number 7, another early track from here, Hasta Manana, which for some reason didn't appear on Abba Gold. They left it off. So hence might not be quite as well known as some others, because a lot of people just get the compilation and don't bother with the albums. But this is a song I'd thoroughly recommend if you haven't heard it. And they did it in the Spanish language as well, because obviously it's a Spanish phrase. And Till We Meet Again. There's a couple of videos of this. out there on YouTube. Number 6, we go back to Super Trooper and The Winner Takes It All. I remember getting back from a family holiday and turning On Top of the Pops in August of 1980. And a couple of things had happened. I'd first of all found out that John Lennon was making a comeback on the plane on the way back. I was reading Newsweek, I think it was. There was a picture of John and Yoko saying he's coming back. And we got back to England, and On Top of the Pops at number 1 was Abba singing The Winner Takes It All, with the heartbreaking video of the other 3 laughing and Agneta on her own after a breakup. And it was written by Bjorn and Benny. So Agneta didn't write the words, but she sure makes it her own in terms of, on the video, she makes it feel as if the song is every bit written by her. And she's one of the victims of the breakup, because it was about the breakup of Bjorn and Agneta, who broke up around about the time. So it was a sad, heartfelt lyric, unlike Knowing Me, Knowing You, which was not written about a real breakup, as far as I know, because they weren't to break up until later. The Winner Takes It All was more real in that respect. So number 5, into the top 5 now, and we've got another song from the Abba album, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, which again appeared on Greatest Hits, and it's just one of their catchiest ever melodies. It was the follow-up to the Waterloo single, actually, and kind of bombed, didn't do very well at all. Big disappointment, I remember, for the group at the time, reading about it. So they couldn't understand why Waterloo was a smash hit single throughout Europe, and I Do, I think was barely hit the top 20. But I don't think, as a song, I think it's better than Waterloo, and I think it's got a better melody, and I just prefer it as a song overall. It's a matter of taste. Another number 4 is from the same album, SOS. This is the first song I remember seeing On Top of the Pops, with that video, which was them kind of looking up at the camera, and then it kind of goes all fuzzy for the chorus, and it's just got one of those great verses, sort of with the build up to that chorus. And so, when you need me, darling, can't you hear me, SOS. It's a lot of people have raved about this song. I think Elvis Costello was one of the people who did. I can't remember, but it's one of the, well, it's number 4. Couldn't get much higher than that. Number 3, we go back to Arrival and Knowing Me, Knowing You. Yet again, there's a brilliant video of them in the snow, and this looks as if it's written about a real life situation, but as I say, I think it's just a made up lyric, but it's very heartfelt, and you know, I guess a lot of people can relate to it, have been through a broken relationship. Knowing me, knowing you, there's nothing I can do. Breaking up is never easy, but I have to go. Knowing me, knowing you, you know, it's the best I can do. So really moving. Love Frida's lead vocal. Love everything about this song. Number 2 is, we're going back to Arrival, and it's the title, the track 3 on side 1, the ballad My Love, My Life, which was never a single, but it's just got the greatest melody of all time as far as Abba is concerned, and as far as anyone's concerned, and it really is up there as a really affecting love song. And they did a TV version of this where they're singing along to this song. It was never a single, as far as I know. It was never on ABBA Gold or any compilation that I can remember, just on the Arrival album, which makes this album so special, because if you pick up ABBA Arrival, you not only get the singles, but you also get When I Kissed the Teacher, Dum Dum Diddle, That's Me, and a track like this, My Love, My Life, which are 4 tracks up there with their very best, and I think it's an absolutely superb love song, which brings us to number 1, The Name of the Game, from a single around Christmas 1977, the prelude to the Abba the album. My father bought me and my sister and my brother a kind of cheapish record player for Christmas 77. We were only 13, 12 and 9 or something, and he bought us a single each. He bought me The Name of the Game, ABBA. He bought Daddy Cool by the Darts for my sister, and he bought We Are the Champions, Queen, for my brother. And so it's the first single I remember owning, and for that reason it's got sentimental value. But for other reasons I've put this at number one, because I think the structure of the song is just magic, from the moody minor key verse into that glorious major key of the chorus. And the backing vocals towards the end of the song work really well. There's another timeless video to go with it, and it was pretty effortlessly made number one. I think it was just before Mull of Kintyre was number one. I think Mull of Kintyre might have taken over from it at the time in the UK, so they weren't competing for the number one spot, because they both made number one. But I do remember it being around that time that this single came out, and the album came out in early the following year. So Name of the Game is my number one choice. So sorry if you disagreed, and as you see, there's a lot of songs which didn't make the cut, like Mamma Mia and Money, Money, Money and Summer Night City and Does Your Mother Know and Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. And actually one of us probably should have made the list, but I didn't include it for some reason. So I could have made it a top 50 quite easily, as you can see. But this was my top 40 as it stands at the time I put it together anyway. And I think it's shows the depth and quality of their songwriting, Bjorn and Benny's songwriting. And you know, they were together from 73, well, in the public eye from 73 through 81, so about 8 or 9 years, and 8 albums and several other singles as well on top of that, and just all over the charts and all over people's lives for that 9-year period. Then they went through a bit of a reclusive period where nobody wanted to listen to them because they thought they were a bit unfashionable, and then they made a glorious comeback when Abba Gold got released, and you had bands like Bjorn again producing their sound pretty faithfully on stage. And I remember seeing a couple of Bjorn Again concerts, and it felt like being at a real ABBA concert, a jam-packed audience, knowing every line of every song, and a thoroughly memorable experience those concerts were. And then ever since, people have never really looked back, and ABBA has always been well regarded. But I do find it quite ironic that for a period after they split up, they were viewed as being a little bit soft. And they never were. They were always doing their own thing, and they were always a pop band doing what they do, which is pop music, virtually to perfection. And I will defend them forever and a day. And I'm guilty, as a lot of people, of going off them, but I went off them for a couple of years actually, and then soon saw the error of my ways, and just think that they will last forever. As long as people are listening to music, we'll be hearing about ABBA. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.